Fast forward, you come out our channel so I say AGH Politics Avenue. Podcast stories are training because making headlines. Nejembre na EDB Exum our Haxi. Unia breaking news be about an EDB Exum. Me no say Abronye ya sign achi Abronye enya sem kotwa kra. Yachi Abronye me no say CID courtesy. Na information yensa akan say ya man 1 million bill la unia enya sem kotwa. Dear no fast answer musi e baya yasan achini bimu. At this point in time, Mestre say yensan enko yinsimu na yenji insimu munchemu yipa. Aha, AGH Politics Avenue.
A month after being released on bail by an Accra Circuit Court over charges of publication of false news and offensive conduct due to the breach of peace, NPP Bono Regional Chairman Kwame Bafu, also known as Abrony DC, has been picked up again. Abrony was rearrested on Wednesday, October 8, and charged with publication of false news with intent to create fear and panic and offensive conduct with insulting, and has been granted a bail of 1 million cedis with 2 sureties. He has since met his bail conditions and has been released from the CID police headquarters. This will be the second time the NPP Bono chair is being arrested in a space of 3 weeks.
I never made any statement that said I was sorry.
Forget about
for saying Akuffo has dug a hole. I will never be sorry for that.
Please, the best news portal in Ghana is 3news.com.
Absolutely. So I was surprised that anyway.
So I'm surprised that you even went to Oprah.
But a lot of I wasn't. People were sharing it.
So you should have told them that they should have gone to the authentic one, which is 3news.com.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next time I will.
But Zato represented you well, so don't worry.
No, he created a lot of problems for himself, and I don't know why he will come and do that on Saturday.
For my opening remarks.
I'm coming to you.
Zato must not be doing that.
No, please. We haven't started.
He came to make a very bold statement.
I'm always on his TikTok, and I love the way he has displayed his pictures there. And if you go to Zato's TikTok, you'll find that he's interacting with constituents in Sisala East. I can see clearly.
Is that the only one that I saw? What about the one that he was busily laughing with the former second lady and the former vice president?
Oh, that
chatting and
then I also see
strategizing how to come on.
And then I also see him across many radio stations as well, interact, and I think that he makes a good politician as well.
Yes, 1 minute for my opening remark. Roland, I have 3
because
remarks.
You guys are supposed to reopen, come back to Parliament.
Yes, I'll address that. I'll address that later. But there are 3 things that I want to say. The first one is that we have tolerated some grand deception on this program for a while, and I think that henceforth it must stop.
Why?
That is the deception that the NPP is not represented on this program. A couple of months ago,
yes,
they announced publicly that they were boycotting TV3 and that none of their communicators would be seen on any of TV3's platforms.
Okay.
I recall their national vice chairman rudely and arrogantly throwing away the microphones of TV3, disrespected the station, and yet they are using the back door to send Dr. Zato, my own friend and lecturer from the political science department, who is a member of the NPP and has intentions of contesting the Sisala East seat on the ticket of the NPP. And when he comes
he
here,
has contested the primary.
He has contested before, and he's going to contest again.
What's your point?
My point is that in introducing him, add that he's a member of the NPP. Let's not run away from the fact that NPP is using the back door to be represented on this program.
Okay. What's your second point?
So my point is that the grand deception that he is a neutral or he is here as a policy analyst and other things. Let us accept that the NPP is represented on this program. The NPP is so arrogant they could not come back to even apologize that we are sending our rep. So that must be noted.
What's your second point?
My second point is that...
Because I will address the first one.
Yes, the second point is...
About Dr. Zato.
The second point...
I hope I also get
the second point is that, Roland, a couple of days ago, we celebrated National Teachers' Day.
Yes.
In Ketu North, we held an award ceremony where we recognized teachers and all of that. I want to make a special appeal to the Minister of Finance. In my constituency, we have teacher deficit of 492. So there are some schools, the entire school from class 1 to JSS 3, junior high school 3, you have only 4 teachers. And these students are expected to compete with students from other privileged schools in the same BEC, and they will be competing for the same space in senior high school. I plead with the finance minister that let us give financial clearance to the Ministry of Education. Adequate allocations must be made so that underserved communities can have the opportunity to all have teachers. That is my second appeal. The third one is that a couple of weeks ago, I was on this program, and Dr. Zato and I called on the National Food Buffer Stock Company to step into the situation and buy the produce of our farmers.
Because of glut.
Because of the glut. I am happy to announce that in Ketu North, Mr. George Abretuotu, the CEO of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, has been working with me as we speak. The warehouse that the previous government built but could not operationalize before leaving, we are at the final stages of getting it to you. So from Friday, Buffer Stock has mandated a company to go into the Beta, Valavi, Klenomaji areas to buy the rice from our farmers, buy gari, buy maize, and under a program they call the National Food Reserve Program. When I went to National Buffer Stock Company and I met the CEO, that was my first time I ever saw him. I never knew him in all my political journey. But I must say that he's one of the very effective and efficient appointees of President Mahama, and it is only proper that I commend him. In the same vein, those CEOs and appointees who may not be living up to expectation and doing what the president wants, expect that some of us will sit on platforms like this and call them out. Because it took a lot of sweat to get the power that we have now. We fought for it. People died in the journey. Exactly 5 years ago, one of our deputy regional youth organizers in Bono region, Kojo, died in an accident. We were on a campaign train. Olanyo was injured in that accident, many others. And so people lost their lives in the struggle for power. So we remind all appointees that live up to expectation. Every assignment that President Mahama has given you, do it and do it well, and you will get a commendation from us. But Roland, in conclusion, back to the first point. Dr. Zato is a representative of the new patriotic party. That must always be repeated on this program. It's not a neutral.
All right. And I have to say, by way of our editorial policy, we invite Dr. Zato to the platform. He hasn't denied that he's a member of the New Patriotic Party. Indeed, publicly across the media platforms, you'll find that his posters are there when he contested the last elections, etc. For me particularly, I allude to him all the time, and he's not shy to say that he's a member. But again, by way of our editorial policy, he's not brought here by the NPP. He may represent their views, but the NPP still hold their boycott. We officially, and then using other known backdoor discussions, still ask them to come and represent themselves on the platform formally. All right. But we don't call any party official in the NPP to say that invite a representative, and it has to be Dr. Zato. And so his views really may sometimes represent the NPP, but they are his own as well. He doesn't deny, once again, and I'm speaking on behalf of Media General, TV3, he doesn't deny that he's NPP. But again, we invite him here because we cannot, and per my experience, I haven't practiced this job for the last over 5 years, cannot have a discussion that is lame, because we need varied views to enrich our conversations so that all facets of our demographic audience who tend to love us and watch us will be well represented. Irrespective of that, he is entitled to respond to whatever is raised about his associations with the NPP. And of course, we've seen him with pictures alongside Dr. Bawumia. And even on Saturday, on the key point, he said he will be the next candidate. Is it candidate or the president?
President.
Fantastic. Anyway,
say that?
Yes.
Yeah, you said that. You said that.
Okay, so
I want to
I
ask
want
that
to
question.
I can now.
clear
I don't have to.
No, I've responded for you. I've responded. Do you want to react to that? No, when you are rebutting the
But he said he was going to be a president. Interestingly, he didn't see the president of Ghana. Maybe the president.
He said the president of Ghana.
No. He could be president of the Tabasco Old Boys Association. Tabasco Old Boys Association.
Why did you go to Tabasco?
No. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia went to Tabasco. As for the Old Boys Association, he could be the president of that association in 2028, not the president of Ghana. We are not talking. Why do you want to make the presidency so cheap?
All right. Dr. Zato, do you want to respond to that?
Thank you.
No. And let me ask, because I'm supposed to have the first bite because of the subject matter.
So I shouldn't say anything
until when you can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to respond in a minute, I'll give you. But
yes, in a minute, I'll quickly do that. Adam said something about me that there was a grand deception. The biggest, if I can say grandest deception is the one committed by the Minister of Finance. When he told cocoa farmers that he would pay them 6,000, but didn't pay them 6,000. That is the biggest deception so far of the year.
Okay, let's watch Daniel Domelevu and then we'll start the discussions.
Okay. So if you follow the briefing that the Attorney General has been given, a lot of work is going on. Will you ask, are you satisfied? I'll say no, I am not satisfied. Because I can't see the end of the tunnel, not to talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. I can't even see it. I don't even see the end of the tunnel before the light, because I know this may continue until there's a change. In fact, the prayer of the corporates and their lawyers is that there should be a change in government. Then you hear nolli prosequa and etc. and our money is gone. The procedure that Attorney General currently is using is going to be very difficult. 9 months. 9 months is not small, my brother. Before we realize, we have finished the quarter of the term of President Mahama. So I think we have to change the speed at which we are moving and let people gain the.
So just in summary, Charlie, you guys, your AG, very slow, tortoise.
Well, I
opposition, yabi, oral means what?
Opposition recover.
One advocate who says that he's been working like a tortoise is solo, always talking about every Wednesday when he comes here. Why?
So, Roland, I think it's important for us to understand the concept of oral. Oral was born out of the crucible of the public outrage. It was a national response to decades of entrenched graft, impunity, and systemic plundering of Ghana's public resources. Oral was not only a policy initiative, but it was also a moral crusade to get the people of Ghana to understand that regardless of your political affiliation or social status, when given the opportunity to manage any public office, you cannot and you must not engage in any act of corruption. And that is why the people of Ghana responded positively. And I can tell you that the message resonated with the Ghanaian people because people had lost confidence in political leadership, and Ghanaians saw in 8 years how the resources of this country were plundered, especially by the President Akuffo administration. And so the expectation of many Ghanaians who wanted to restore dignity and restore confidence, public trust in governance, was that oral will be the vehicle to get people to account for their stewardship. And so, generally, because it's a policy that resonated with the Ghanaian people, you would expect people to make comments or arguments, asking or trying to question why 9 months into office, nobody has been prosecuted or they are not seeing people in court. But oral as a vehicle, the credibility of it, Roland, rests also on the fact that beyond getting the outcomes, it must be done with proper due diligence. Roland, there's no substitute for due diligence in the administration of justice. I have so much confidence in the Attorney General. But it's important for people to know how these things work. And so 9 months, it may appear, it may seem to people that we are delaying or we are slow in prosecutions. But within the legal remits, within the exercise of legal authority, I believe that we are on course. Now, let me tell you how these things work. Oral committee was established even before the president was sworn in. At the time, the minority, the NPP, those who today are questioning why Oral is not delivering the outcomes that they are expecting, questioned why President Mahama was in a rush to set up Oral. At the time, he was not even sworn in. They actually questioned the legality of the committee. But we did that because President Mahama recognized, he was fully aware that in getting these issues investigated and for prosecution to start, it may take such a long time. And so he was in a hurry to get a committee to even start working. Now, after the committee's report, these reports are handed over to investigative bodies. Investigations will go on from Yoko, NIB, and all the others. After the investigative reports are out, it takes time again to turn those reports into dockets before you can go to court. Roland,
yes, sir.
As I speak, the NPP know, and he knows, that a number of former officials, hundreds of former appointees of the previous regime have been attending to investigative bodies. Go to Yoko, let your producers go. Go to NIB. Some of them on daily basis, they are appearing, answering questions. Now, when all these processes are completed, the Attorney General will go to court. And I am confident that we are not only interested in rushing to court, where we saw in the past how government law, sometimes even with the low-hanging fruits, the court will strike out the case based on technical grounds. Not necessarily because the act was not committed, but because maybe there were some procedural challenges. And so our Attorney General is very meticulous, his deputy very meticulous, and I have so much confidence that Oral may appear slow, but gradually, Roland, before long, we'll begin to see the prosecution of these people. I understand. Recently, I met somebody who told me, look, why are you people taking so much time? Because there are some low-hanging fruits. And the person started that, are you telling me that it is too technical to prosecute those who were involved in spending over $58 million in digging a big hole? Are you telling me that the $25 billion that we lost in the banking sector cleanup and all the other cases, the ambulance case involving Akuffo and many others, there are technical issues? And I told the person that these are issues that requires meticulous investigations, and I believe that proper actions will be taken. Roland, we are not slow, and I believe that before the 4 years ends, Oral will deliver the kind of results that the people of Ghana are expecting. Again, the Attorney General is not slow.
When the policy was outdoored as a campaign message, it was supposed to be a policy implemented over a 4-year period. Is that what you're saying?
But when you go to the people to seek political power, it is for 4 years. We never promised that we're going to prosecute everybody in 10 months. We never promised that people were going to be jailed in 1 month, in 1 year. Roland, the legitimacy and credibility of Oral hinge not merely on its outcomes, but on fairness and integrity of its methods. Roland, the credibility and legitimacy of Oral, again, hinge also not just on some political urgency or expediency, but it must be done properly and creditably. I believe that before the tenure of President Mahama ends, all the cases of corruption, all those involved, will be properly investigated.
I see.
And will be prosecuted.
So year 1.
Justice rush.
Year 2.
Is justice risk.
Year
and
3.
Ghana's moral and institutional rebirth,
Year 4.
Roland, must not be done to satisfy only political expediency. I understand. As a member of parliament, in all my engagement with the people come to you and they ask questions about Ora. Look, there are some voters who told me that even if President Mahama does not perform well in the economy or bread and butter issues, if he is able to
and somehow do it because watch channel so I'm not so Jimre Ewa. That's any say Obadi and the Adumbi Edumania. You ever sign about Rem na Yasumo or Quaison Kosokra. Aha, AGH Politics Avenue.